All right, in this example, we're going to be looking at one of the most important mechanical skills for college algebra, and that's evaluating a function. So here we're given a function, f of x equals 2x squared minus x plus 3. And we're asked to find evaluate the function at the four following values. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find f of 2. F of 2 means everywhere we see an x, we're going to replace it with 2. So first thing we do here is we say this equals, now we're going to write the function 2, but now our x here is replaced by 2. So I'm going to put in parentheses 2, and what do we do to the x? We square it. So we're going to square the 2. Then we subtract. Now remember, x is going to be replaced with 2, and then plus 3. And now it's just a matter of figuring out what this is. So remember, order of operations, we're going to do exponents first. So I'm going to square the 2 first. So I have the 2 from the beginning, that's here. 2 squared is 4, so I'm going to put 4 here. So we will multiply those. Then we do minus 2 plus 3. Now 2 times 4 will give us 8. And then we go minus 2 plus 3. And I'll do this slowly here. 8 minus 2, that gives us 6. And we still have plus 3. And now we just do 6 plus 3, and that gives us 9. So what this says is that when we plug 2 into this function, the function will evaluate or give us back 9. Now we want to do the same thing for negative 5. To do that, I'm going to have to erase this here. Okay, so now we're going to just rewrite the function 2. Now the x is replaced with negative 5. So I put in parentheses negative 5. And remember, that gets squared. Then we do minus. Now remember, it's negative 5, so I'm going to put in parentheses. And then plus 3. Okay, now again, order of operations. We square the negative 5 first. Okay, so we're going to go 2. That's our 2 from here. Negative 5 squared means negative 5 times negative 5. And negative times a negative is positive. So that's going to give us a positive 25 there. Then I still have this here. Now I'm going to look at this and say, look, minus a negative means plus. And then we have plus 3. Okay, now we multiply 2 times 25. That gives us 50. Then plus 5 plus 3. And if you add all this together, you get 58. So if you plug in negative 5 into this function, it will return to you the value of 58. All right, now for part C, notice we're not plugging in a number, we're plugging in an expression, 3a. A is a variable that we don't know its value. So things are going to change a little bit here. Let me erase this. So I'm actually going to erase all of this. Get this out of our way. And now we're just going to replace x by 3a. So I put my 2 here. Now x here is 3a, so I put 3a. And we need to square that. So it's important that we put parentheses around this and we square it. So notice this 3a is like the x right here. Then we go minus. Now again, x is 3a. So I'm going to put in parentheses 3a. And then we go plus 3. Okay, and I can't stress this enough. Just so you see it again, this is 2, this is our x, and this is our x. So we actually have 2x squared, just like this, minus x plus 3, but in this case our x was 3a. All right, now we're not done. We need to simplify this a little bit. So we need to first square 3a. And remember, when you square something in parentheses, things that are being multiplied, you can square each one. So this will become, I'll put it here, 2. Now you square 3, that gives you 9. And then you square the a, that gives you a squared. Then you have minus 3a. And we do not need the parentheses because there's multiplication here. And then plus 3. Now all we have to do is multiply the 2 times the 9a, which gives us, or 2 times 9a squared, which gives us 18a squared minus 3a plus 3. And that's our final answer. Notice that we do not get a number as an answer. And that's because what we plugged in was not a number. It was an expression. It had a variable in it. So our answer should also have variables in it. So that's the function evaluated at 3a. The last thing to do is to evaluate at a minus 2. And for this one, I'm going to actually start off up here. Okay, so same thing we've been doing. I'm going to replace x with a minus 2. So I write down my 2. I replace this x with a minus 2. And remember, that gets squared, so I have to have parentheses here so that I can square that. Then I do minus, x is replaced with a minus 2. Again, I use parentheses to represent the x. And that's because this negative sign will have to distribute through the parentheses here. And then at the end, I have plus 3. I'm going to go ahead and erase this here. So now what we need to do is we need to first square a minus 2. Now when you square a minus 2, I'm going to do that on the side here. A minus 2 squared is actually the same as a minus 2 times a minus 2. So you do not just square each piece, you have to actually FOIL this out. So to FOIL, I do a times a, that gives me a squared. I do a times negative 2, that gives me negative 2a. I do negative 2 times a, that gives me negative 2a again. And I do negative 2 times negative 2, that gives me positive 4. Now I can collect these two terms together because they're like terms. Negative 2a minus another 2a gives me minus 4a. So I get a squared minus 4a plus 4. So when you square this little guy here, it doesn't look that bad, but it actually turns out to be all this work. And this is the result. So now when I come back up here, I put my 2 out here, don't forget that, and all of this squared turns out to be this down here. So I need to put in parentheses, a squared minus 4a plus 4. And I put it in parentheses because I still need to distribute a 2 through. Here, I'm going to distribute my negative through the parentheses so I can drop these. It'll become a minus a, minus a negative becomes a plus 2, and then at the end we have plus 3. All right, we're ready to move on. Distribute our 2 through this parentheses. We have 2a squared. We have minus 8a, and that's because 2 times negative 4 gives us negative 8. Then 2 times positive 4 gives us a positive 8. And then minus a plus, I'll just put these two together here, that's 5. Now let's collect all of our like terms together. We only have one a squared term, so I'm just going to write 2a squared. Here I have a minus 8a and I have a minus a, so if I combine those two terms together I get minus 9a. And then if I do 8 plus 5, that gives me 13. So this is the result. If you plug in a minus 2 into this function, you get 2a squared minus 9a plus 13.